Today, I'm reacting to your most inspiring gaming setups. Let's get into the first one. This is Juiced's setup. Now, this one I was impressed with. He is 14 years old. He's a student for the Netherlands, and his main game is NFS Heat. I've never played that game, so I don't know. Oh, Need for Speed Heat. His previous setup was basically just a PS4 and a TV, and what inspired him to build his current setup is having a chill space where he can game. He also built a setup for gaming, schoolwork, and photo editing. Congrats on the photo stuff. He built the setup when he was 9 years old, and it's taken him 4.5 years to build this setup to save up for everything. Afforded his setup by saving up for birthday money, pocket money, and editing photos for people, also helping people build PCs. He built the setup just by himself, and his future plans is to add an extra desk to make an L shape, and maybe just adding a monitor so to the left side with a racing wheel for his other games. Also, you might want to buy an ultra wide for this just to have it for the whole setup. Maybe a keyboard and mouse that are wireless as well, and maybe some wall mounts. Now, this intrigued me. For 14 years old, and he's built this himself, I was very impressed. Now, obviously, you guys are seeing the floating desk, right? That's not just me. This is so beautiful with the aesthetic, how it's floating in the air with the diffused lighting. Come on now. We know he likes Star Wars and Lego Star Wars. He's got all the different Legos up on the shelf. Look at the cable management. This setup for 14 years old to have cable management, that's insane. This man thought of everything. But did you guys notice that there's a speaker mounted to the wall with a raceway hidden behind the monitor? Come on now. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Juice, for submitting. 9.9 out of 10. This video is sponsored by GutzyAiden.com, my own mousepad company. Some of the setups in this video use our mousepads. So if you like what you see, use the link down in the description to get one for yourself. Now back to the video. This is Nash's setup. Now, he's 15 years old from the United States. He doesn't have an occupation at the moment, but his main game is Overwatch 2. He used to have a double monitor setup when he moved houses, but then he built this setup. He built the setup early in 2022. It took about 2 to 3 months to build this entire setup. He afforded this setup by saving money from birthdays, and his parents helped him build this setup because they wanted to use it for schoolwork for him. His future plans of the setup are to keep most of it as it is and upgrade stuff as I go. This setup doesn't have as much personality in it, chat. I'm just warning you. But the color scheme of this setup is beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. I love the way that he built like 3 monitors right there, and it looks very clean. People will always tell me like, oh, you know, cable management's so easy, whatever. But this guy takes this cable management stuff to a whole nother level. He drilled holes through his shelves or through the top of his desk and put grommets to run his console on the left side through all the cables. On top of that, you can't see a cable in sight. He also did this on the PC side. You can't really see it. I love the theme of the PC as well. All the lighting together looks great on the motherboard, and all the fans and everything looks awesome. Keep up the great work. This is beautiful. My rating for this personal setup, I would say, is probably an 8.5. Beautiful setup. Thank you so much for submitting. Appreciate you. This one is a beautiful one. This is Danielle, I think. Danielle, I can't tell. He is 16 years, he or she is 16. I don't know. They didn't put if they're male or female. They are 16 years old. They're a student out of Finland. Their main game is Forza Horizon 5, and their previous setup was an Xbox setup. What inspired him to build his current setup is me and TechSource, which thank you for that. What did you build your setup for? He built the setup for gaming and in the future, possibly streaming. He built the setup about 2 weeks ago, and it took him about a year to get to this point. He afforded his setup by a summer job, and nobody helped him build his current setup. His future plans for the setup are 5 things: a bigger desk, new mouse, graphics card, nailies, and another shelf. So clean. Off of the bat, I love how clean this setup is. Like, from maybe the desk could be a little bigger, a little longer, for an ultra wide type of this. Man, for how clean this is, like all white, nice little gray countertop, you know, ultra wide stacked on top of each other. You know, and then on top of that, I love that blue this arm up here. I think it's nice because you can tuck it behind the monitors when you're done. You know, the cable management's not awful, really great. I like how you wrap the cables down behind the leg there. Whole setup is really nice. I love the aesthetic of this gray and white. So my personal rating, I'd probably put this a 7 out of 10. This is Mr. Sean. He is 15 years old, and he's located in VA. His main game is MX Bikes, which is interesting. I've never heard of that game. His previous setup was a lot worse, using just a really bad TV and monitor plus a pre-built. What inspired him to build his current setup is me and Slush. What did he build a setup for? Gaming, and he wants to get into streaming as well. He built the setup last Christmas, and it took him about 2 years upgrading stuff to get to this point. Using a random Amazon desk as well, and he afforded his setup by mowing, also getting the majority of his stuff from his dad. Who helped us build a setup and why? His dad is really smart when it comes to PCs, so he helped him build his PC, and his future plans are to upgrade his desk because right now he doesn't like an L shape and get another GPU. So, you know, my boy Sean obviously needs Windows right off of the rip here. I'm loving this blue and black aesthetic with the white hints of it. Also, I love the pre-Christmas. I mean, it's November, but you know, he's getting in the spirit. Chair looks pretty comfortable as well. Cable management looks pretty solid. I love how he like wrapped his cables around the back of the corner of the desk so you can hide one cable down, which is great. This is his current PC right now. I love that you took the time to get cables and comb them. Nice. Also, the fans kind of match the aesthetic as well, which is great. I'd probably say maybe a 6. I would say a 6. This is Henry's setup. Now, Henry is 12 years old. He's a student in America, obviously, and his main game is Warzone right now. His previous setup was bland and cheap, and what inspired him to build his current setup is watching other people build their setup. He built a setup to play games and edit some videos, and he started building his setup 4 or 5 days ago. It took about 1 week to save up for his entire setup, and his parents helped him afford his setup. His dad helped him build a computer and set up his desk, and he's never done it before, so that was a huge help for him. His future plans with the setup is he wants to add a better mic and some more RGB. For 12 years old and his parents helping him out, I was very inspired by this setup because one, this is like if someone did a under the bed setup right. This is why I was really impressed with the setup. I mean, look at this. All his comics on the wall are neatly placed and spaced in between the bed. On top of that, he's got RGB that's diffused across the entire back of the bed. Genius. He even took the time to, you know, use the rack underneath. For 12 years old, man, this is solid. Love the color scheme. Love the comics on the wall. You got them graded, which is cool. 7. I would say, yeah, it's probably a solid 7. So this is Tyga's setup. He is 17 years old. He does not have an occupation at the moment, and he's located in Germany. His main game is Asphalt 8 and sometimes in Fortnite, and his previous setup was just a laptop setup that was pretty bad. Very cheap setup. What inspired him to build his current setup now is me, TikTok setups, Tech Source, and many others. He built the setup for schoolwork and some actual gaming with friends. He started building his setup in January of 2019, and it took him about 2 years to build this setup to this point. He afforded his setup by birthdays and Christmases and little mini jobs around the house. No one helped him build this setup, and his future plans is to buy maybe a triple monitor setup, buy a mic, and a better headset. So boy didn't really add a lot of pictures in this setup, so there's stuff that we need to see, but there's not a bunch of pictures. I think there's only 5. So this setup is really minimal. I mean, you know, obviously it may be time to upgrade your PC. It looks like a nice pre-built. On top of that, I also love how you racewayed all your cables between each part of the monitor, and you mounted your monitors separately, which is great. Here's this cable management solid. I love how you use raceways to your advantage. You know, very clean and minimal under here, which is great. And then also I love how you like use symmetry on the setup. On the shelf as well, you got 2 plants and then a keyboard in the middle and then the clock, so it all lines up. In my opinion, it's probably a 7. If you enjoyed that video, watch this one next, and don't forget to follow the Twitch down below. See you there.